Unit 14.4, Instructing Physical Activity and Exercise, Review of my own performance. This assignment looks at reviewing your own performance, looking at how well designed the program was, the planning, as well as the delivery of the exercise session. In addition, I'll be looking and explaining personal strengths and areas of improvements, as well as what the participants thought, and developing some SMART targets as a result. After the session was completed, I received many strengths and areas of improvement from peers who participated in the session. So my strengths were that I was able to give clear verbal communication, explaining the exercise well, detailed demonstrations throughout the whole session. I was able to keep the participants on track, keeping focus, having their full attention and control of the group. I was able to adapt exercises accordingly when needed to suit participants, allowing everyone to complete the full session. I was also able to help those who excelled in activities by having a range of knowledge to make it harder, but also able to offer tips for those who struggled. So some things that I could work on to improve the session for next time were to give more praise throughout the whole session, as well as trying to keep everyone motivated, especially those who did not want to participate, which leads on to my next improvement of giving everyone in the group the same amount of attention and not focusing on those who are excelling or those not trying, to help everyone feel included and equal. Some peers also said that I wasn't as authoritative as I could have been in certain situations when people didn't want to comply and take part in the activities. Finally, some of the participants said that the timings and the duration of certain activities could have been changed to make the session better. There are also some things that I personally feel I achieved well, but also some things that didn't work out very well and that need improving. And these areas also overlap with what the participants feel that I need to work on. So firstly, communication. I feel I was able to communicate with the group in many different ways, from verbal communication to demonstrations and giving appropriate cues where applicable. The way in which I gave the communication was also considerate of the participants, thinking about the tone and volume for the given space and the type of activity being completed. Another strength of mine was that I was very organised. This helped the session to run smoothly and start promptly, as I had already gathered the needed equipment ahead of time. This meant that the group remained focused as they didn't have to wait around. In addition, I was organised prior to the session, as I was able to find an appropriate space when I found out that the space in which I was meant to be provided with was unavailable. The session was well planned and I knew what activity was next so that the participants weren't waiting around once the exercise also started. I was also organised with alternative or modifications of activities after looking at the participants' cues that they'd completed prior. My final strength was that I was able to give appropriate adaptations when needed to both those who excelled as well as those who struggled to complete the set task offered. This meant that everyone was able to partake in the whole session and didn't feel excluded just because they couldn't do something or because they found it too easy. So some things that need working on. My first area of improvement that I personally feel needs to be worked on is how much, well, and often I gave participants motivation and praise, especially those who did not want to participate and weren't bothered about trying or giving it a go. I think I was too focused on thinking about cues I could give and watching to see if I could adapt the session accordingly, and I forgot about how to keep them motivated. This could have been done by praising them throughout the whole session. My next area of improvement I personally feel needs to be worked on is interactivity within the group. Throughout the session I remained at the front of the group. However, I would have found it easier to give individuals who excelled or those struggles information if I had moved around the group and the space. Moving around the space would have meant that I could have also given tips easier, as I could have seen them partaking in different angles. When running a lesson, things don't always go to plan, and I faced many issues that I had to adapt. So firstly, the space in which I was allocated on the day turned out to not be available, and therefore I had to adapt my session to fit in a smaller space. In addition, the size of the group increased on the day of the lesson, and therefore I had to change the way stations ran and how I led the session. Instead of the session being broken down into sections, I led the whole group at once. To add to that, the ability of those participating also had more of a range and therefore had to think of more alternatives to allow everyone to participate without struggling, as this could have demotivated some people. Finding the session too easy could have meant they got bored and distracted others and therefore not partaked. Another thing I had to change was the length of the main session, due to the fact that the participants took longer on some of the stations and we had to go over some of the stations to make sure everyone understood how to do it than planned, and therefore I didn't want to overrun without completing a cool down. If I was to redo the session, again, I would make sure there was a big enough difference between the warm-up and the main activity, as they include some of the same activities, due to the fact that Pilates involves a lot of stretches, which can commonly be found in warm-ups. By doing this might have made the session more interesting and a bit more versatile and a bit different to what the participants would have been expecting. I would have also created different stations and divided up the groups, giving a clay demonstration at the start. This could have allowed me to interact with everyone on more of a personal level, giving them feedback there and then and not having to wait till after or group feedback. To improve my coaching ability, there are many courses available to me. One being the CYQ, the Fitness Instructing Qualification, and another the HCL. The Higher Sport Leader course, Level 3, could be something that I completed to gain more knowledge, experience, allowing me to teach and lead larger groups of people, as well as knowing how to deal with situations and how to teach problematic groups or those with a greater need of care, such as children with a form of disability. So the HCL is a nationally recognised qualification that enables successful learners to independently lead purposeful and enjoyable sport or physical activity sessions. The course gives you the opportunity to learn the needed skills to plan and deliver sessions for participants. It helps to develop confidence and the ability to communicate effectively with others and peers. This course is of value to those who wish to develop their coaching skills or progress onto a career in sport or like teaching PE. SMART targets. So here are the SMART targets that I plan on achieving in order to improve and develop my coaching ability. So the first target, my short-term target, would be to lead another fitness session within the next 2 weeks, preferably on the same topic, so Pilates. This would allow me to improve the areas that the participants thought I struggled in, and have a sense of which areas of improvement need to be addressed first. The next target, which is my medium-term target, would be to watch and observe 4 lessons within the next month. This would allow me to see how others interact with different types of people and adapt to certain situations, as well as help me to identify areas of improvement for others, which I then might be able to see errors made by myself as well, and therefore hopefully make me improve faster. My final target, my long-term target, would be to complete one of the suggested courses to help develop my skills and to be more knowledgeable, as well as being able to work and teach a larger variety of people.